Hey, this is Notser, and this is the Tier 6 Premium Japanese Destroyer, Shinonome. She has 12,900 health, a top speed of 36.8 knots, 6 127mm guns, 9 torpedoes, a surface detect of 6.1 kilometers, and 3 AA defense rating. For my modules, reduced crit chance on main armament, improved aiming accuracy, reduced the chance of flood and fire, improved acceleration. For my commander, basic firing training, improved torpedo rearm, last stand, superintendent, advanced firing training, and concealment. We are on the map New Dawn, and this is the reward ship for honorable service. It's one of the 2 campaigns that is, by default, the introductory for the system that was just put out in 0.5.15. And no, I have not legitimately earned it yet. I am working my way towards it. This is a press ship that I can test out and share my thoughts on it. So you might have noticed that the rate of fire is pretty crappy when you compare it to other Tier 6s, but it has 6 guns versus their 4. So there is sort of a alpha increase in this particular ship versus those. That's the difference. It has absolutely no AA defense, of course. 3, I mean, come on, it's a joke. So I headed over to B point, and I attempted to capture. Now I engaged the enemy Hatsuharu. It's one of the Tier 6 Japanese destroyers. There's also a Fubuki. And I sent my torpedoes towards them. Now, this has 3 launchers for 3 torpedoes each, much like the Fubuki. It has pretty much the similar torpedo rearm, and I'm just going to engage with my guns. That is the thing that you're going to be noticing, is the amount of gun damage you can do at your tier is pretty high, and he sent his torpedoes. Not a big deal. It looks like he might actually be dealing with my torpedoes, though. And that's exactly what we wanted. And he does take our torpedo. And we should be able to capture B for our team. It's pretty nice to have the extra gun turret with the 2 extra guns at Tier 6 versus Tiers 8, 9, and 10, where you expect it, of course, in a Japanese. But at Tier 6, you pretty much have better rate of fire, but less guns. There are situations where you would want more guns and more rate of fire. It's nice to have an option, and the reward ship does feel like a nice option. Probably the best part about the reward ship, though, whenever you earn it, is that you get a level 11 commander. So you're over halfway there to the end. It's really nice. Now, the enemy team appears to be headed for A point, of course. And, oh man, as a Japanese destroyer, you're going to be like, just stay together. Don't change your positioning at all. Don't react. Just allow me to kill you with my torpedoes. That's really what you want. But let's be honest, they're not going to do exactly what you want. That would be a boring game. So I head on over. I notice that the enemy Alba has his aircraft up. And I get just slightly too close. My AA never turned on because it's complete garbage. Rather, the aircraft detectability of the ship is what fulfilled the detection. So I pop my smoke, I hide, and I have a very uncomfortable feeling that I'm going to be torpedoed. So I'm going to send my torpedoes against the enemy Alba, and I'm going to leave this area as quickly as possible. Now, I don't want to retreat forward of this island, because then I'm going to be right in front of the Alba. So we're going to pull a reversed Notser. Didn't really want to do that. 3-point turn. You learn this in basic driving etiquette. But this is not driving. This is a ship. We're sailing. And any second now, my torpedoes are going to hit. Any second now. The enemy did intend to send torpedoes. I was not there, though. And I'm just going to rotate around the island. I'm detected by the aircraft. And the torpedoes, they never hit. He must have done something sneaky, like turn his ship. But as we rotate around the island to safety, I'm reminded that my team has a ship advantage. We have a point advantage. And the enemy team seems to be pushing on through from A point. My torpedoes are back up. I'm going to send towards that gap, and there's an enemy torpedo coming right towards me. We have to move forward, and we have to run into the... Okay, well, it's short. But I already moved the momentum forward, and we're going to run into the island. Come on, guys. Leave me alone. Just let me torpedo you, and there's more torpedoes. The Alba sent more. So I have to make sure I don't back up into one of them. Thankfully, two of them run into the island, and I'm, of course, detected because I'm out in the open with no smoke, and it's dangerous. But is the Farragut going to run into the torpedoes? No. We miss with our torpedoes. And I'm just making sure to get the hell out of here, clearly. 4 of my 6 guns are facing rear, so retreating is actually pretty advantageous for the Japanese. This is familiar if you have a tier 8, 9, or 10. But if you're just working up through the Japanese line, because it looks so much more interesting with a higher rate of fire, or better concealment, better, more interesting ships that they've added, well, you gotta get used to this. Whereas with an American or a Soviet, they are strong forward, bow on, aggressive push. And that sort of informs your playstyle in each destroyer class. So as I'm retreating, I'm holding my fire. Once I see that my detectability had shrunk, I shrink it even further by putting out the fire. Hopefully you know that fire increases your detectability when you are on fire, burning. It, obviously, if you think logically, it sends out smoke. It's much brighter. It makes sense that it improves your opponent's ability to spot you in the water. So just make sure that you try and put it out to deny them that line of sight. Now, I sent against the Alba, not going to work out. Not going to work out against the enemy battleship. I decided to fire on the Farragut because the Alba is going to be behind the island. The Alba is really the only ship that I fear here. Yes, the battleship could just end me, but his shells are big. He doesn't want to fire at me. His secondary, he does actually fire at me. How rude. Well, we take a significant amount of damage. I'm still trying to keep the island in between myself and the Alba. I also pop my smoke. Thankfully, the Farragut is spotted by a friendly, and he sort of nicks me, sets me on fire. I put the fire out now that he is denied line of sight, and I send my torpedoes with the expectation that he's going to turn and move quickly, right to left, and maybe I can catch him out. Maybe I can knock out his propulsion, steering, I don't know. Maybe he's one of those crazy destroyer commanders that doesn't use last stand. Or maybe he's just going to be at the wrong place at the wrong time and lose control of his ship at the worst possible moment. That could also happen. So we take out the enemy destroyer. It's very good for the team. They have no more destroyers on their team. I can dictate the pace. I don't ever have to risk my ship ever again. I can send my torpedoes blind. There's nothing that's going to accidentally detect me. With the concealment of my Shimakaze commander, it gets down to 6.1. It comes with a, obviously, camouflage. It's a premium ship anyway. So we work pretty well. Now my torpedoes are almost back up, and I want to reuse them. I want to keep the torpedoes in the water, threaten the enemy any way I can. This Arpeggio Congo is on the list, and he's barely in range. I was thinking maybe he would turn towards B point around that island and then run right into the torpedoes. The friendly cruiser, he meets his fate. When you have 2 enemies out in the open and you have no way to protect yourself, it's overextension. It couldn't have been more by the book. You just can't do that if your detectability doesn't warrant it. Now, I was a little nervous because I'm running the risk of being detected. I used my speed boost just to get out of the area. My torpedoes are on cooldown. It doesn't look like my torpedoes are going to hit that battleship. And every so often I'm checking to make sure he's not within 6.1 kilometers of my ship. Even if he was, I'm going to give up ground. I'm just not going to fire. I'm just going to chill out. We got 30 seconds left on smoke. So we've got an enemy Fuso and the enemy Alba, who just is so annoying. It feels like he knows that I'm sending torpedoes at him. He's got that sixth sense. He's like, I'm detected. Why am I detected? I should not be detected. So I'm going to send my torpedoes, trying to hit them in a predictable pattern. The Fuso is apparently slowing down, so I decide to send towards him. We have a friendly battleship that's entering the arena, and I take advantage of my smoke and the fact that a friendly is spotting, and I unload on the Alba. First shot sets a fire. He's got to put it out. Yes, he does. He's going to be susceptible to the next salvo if it were to set him on fire. The Alba and the Fuso are sort of dancing around each other. They are hindering each other's ability to get out of the torpedo area, and I'm just hoping that I'm going to hit some torpedoes and do lots of damage. It looks like I might. The Alba sent his torpedoes. We hit 2 torpedoes on the Fuso. He set a flood. The flood apparently is sticking. Yes, it is. So was the fire on the Alba, and then are we going to catch him with our torpedo? It stops just short. Ah, so close. Bayern is a madman, but I'm going to do everything in my power to keep him alive. He takes the Alba out. He should honestly try and ram the Fuso, in my opinion. Just go ahead, Bayern. Be the hero that we know you can be. Ram the target. Send him to the bottom of the ocean, and have glory and honor forever. But he doesn't decide to do that. And in fact, he's right on top of him, burning down, and he's gonna die a slow, pathetic death to fire. And there's nothing he can do. He could have been a superhero and rammed that ship, but he didn't. Maybe his inexperience is what is ultimately his downfall. And hopefully my torpedoes hit the target. Oh, just barely. We cause a flood. We know the flood's sticking as long as the fire is on a ship. And the dot is going. Yeah, lots of dots. We take out the Fuso. Thankfully, he didn't fire at me. It wasn't really a big deal. It worked out in my favor, honestly. But if you're in a position where you're so low that you're going to die to fires, just ram them. Give your life for your team. They will be forever grateful for your sacrifice. At least that's what I tell myself. I'm going to work my way back towards B point. It seems to have been a great position to hitch my ride. 3 kills, 74,000 points of damage done. Not bad, not bad at all. There's an enemy Bayern that looks to be pushing towards B point. And yes, I was teasing about the Mutski, more like the Mutsak. I don't understand why it's just so bad, allowed to be so bad. Oh, its torpedo systems are so good, Notser. Why don't you use them all the time? I gotta have something. I can't just have 2 guns. Okay, I don't care how fast they fire. 2 guns is pathetic. Now the Bayern is attempting to capture B. That's pretty bold, Mr. German. He's almost in range of my torpedoes. And we've got a couple enemy battleships in the background. He is denying the capture of B. And it looks like he wants to slow down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send at the indicator and then send behind it. That way, if he stops right in front of me, I might hit him. He's using the stripe camo. Oh, so hideous. It's just, it makes him look like he's wearing a t-shirt. Horizontal striped t-shirt. It doesn't look like a heroic battleship with combat camo. Speaking of heroic battleships with combat camo, I have access to a premium tier 9 ship, and I can't wait to show it off, but there's really cool camo for it. That's all I'm allowed to say. Now, one torpedo does look like it's going to hit it right in the butt. Yeah, you take that torpedo right in the butt. We cause a flood. We do have fires on the ship, and they are sticking, so he's going to burn and flood for a while. This is pretty good. I'm in my smoke. I don't really want to be seen. You know how evil people are. If they catch sight of a ship under 2,000 hit points, they're going to drop everything and just fire at it. I can't have that. I have to live until the end of the match. And we're doing pretty good damage to the Bayern. Now, I do have advanced firing training. The range is pretty awful. It's no worse than the range of other Japanese destroyers, but I just hope you understand that even with the range extension, it only gets out to 10.8, and we take out the Bayern. Flood fire, yeah. Enemy New York is also in the area. Now, funny enough, we're not gaining any points because the enemy is denying C as well. So we got to get this on a kill. And honestly, I make a huge mistake. I fire when outside of the smoke, and look at who's looking right at me. Enemy New York. Yeah, he fires at my ship, but I think he actually fired behind me. Did he fire at a friendly battleship right behind me? I think he did. Oh, I think he did. Tier 5. Battleships don't fire at destroyers. What are you talking about? That's absolutely crazy. And then you go to Tier 9 and Tier 10. The battleships can't help but only fire at you, it seems, when there's a low health target. It's a completely different world. So the New York, he does leave the point. He's basically giving the game up. And we're going to try and help kill him before the game actually ends, so we feel happy about ourselves. There is 3 battleships that have his flank, and he has an island right in between him. Nowhere to go, my friend. Who's going to get the kill? We're trying to get as much damage as possible. 3,000, 2,000. Friendly Congo gets the kill. And that game was pretty fun. It was a little brawly at times, a little overextension, but we did pretty good. We earned 4 kills, no medals, 116,000 points of damage done, 2,373 base XP. Absolutely carried the team. The ship is really fun. I enjoyed it. My damage is actually pretty split between HE, torpedoes, flood, and fire. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.